What's that word you use?
Spoilers.
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 Spoilers. Spoilers. Spoilers.
I like that word.
I thought you might.
Hello everyone and welcome to Review Who, and today we'll be looking at the surprisingly highly satisfying Planet of Giants. After what I deem to be a few shaky and drawn-out stories, Doctor Who finally finds its feet again with a short but very well-written story. It is often said that the simplest things in life are the most satisfying, and in terms of Doctor Who stories, this is certainly one that holds true to that. With the shrinking of the TARDIS crew being the main plotline, it also meant that having a story set on contemporary Earth meant that it could deal with current issues and also have an ethical and moral purpose to the story. This story is somewhat of a rarity in the world of early classic Doctor Who in that it is only 3 parts long, a format which wouldn't again be seen for another 20 plus years until the 1985 6th Doctor story, The Two Doctors.
I've come a long way for you.
Naturally. Don't expect any thanks.
However, this very much works in the favour of the story as it allows the plot and the pacing to knit together almost seamlessly. As previously mentioned, the general plot of this story is the TARDIS crew having been shrunk in size. This leads to some great scenes such as the discoveries and revelation of what has happened to them.
We've been made smaller. Smaller?
We have been reduced roughly to the size of an inch.
The Doctor and Susan almost being drowned in an overflow pipe. And coming face to face with a not-so-friendly feline. But what starts as a great adventure and an interesting turn of events suddenly starts to take a darker turn as the group find themselves embroiled in government espionage, as well as having to deal with murder and bringing the murderer to justice, all whilst being only 1 inch tall. But unlike many other Doctor Who stories, this one has a very deep, ethical tone. The subject of environmentalism and how the human race affects the world we often ignore going on around us certainly leaves the audience with much more food for thought concerning real-life issues.
I don't think I'm making myself quite clear. There are many insects which make a vital contribution to agriculture, and these insects must not die. Did you know that?
Much of the action in this story revolves around 2 things: the new giant world that the crew find themselves in, and the environmental events unfolding beyond the grass, as it were. Unfortunately, this does mean that real moments of action are few and far between, as the story is primarily set in a house and a garden. And whilst there are some great moments of jeopardy and tension, rather like the Sensorites, much of the action takes place during the dialogue.
She got insecticide on her hand. She touched it.
Well, she never told me. I never saw her do this.
However, the acting of those on screen, combined with the writing, means that this is a story that actually needs very little action on screen due to having such a strong script. And it's quite a rarity in the world of Doctor Who to find a story that works well more in its script than what is actually happening on screen. Whilst it is often believed that the script for Planet of Giants was proposed by C.E. Weber, who helped shape the programme into what it would become, it was simply the general idea of shrinking the Doctor and his companions that linked Louis Marx's script to Weber's original idea. The original concept of bringing a miniaturised TARDIS and a miniaturised crew to the screen is far more complex and actually dates back to one of the original proposed ideas for the first episode of the series. This idea would have seen the crew miniaturised inside a Coal Hill laboratory and having to avoid giant students and lab equipment before finally using a microscope to communicate with the students themselves. However, for various reasons of budget/filming/script constraints, this idea was shelved. However, it was visited over the years by several different people until it became the story we see today. Unfortunately, there isn't time in this video to go into the full details, but if you want to find out more, check out the description below for a link to the TARDIS wiki page where you can find out more about how this story came into being. If you're looking for a story with lots of on-screen action, then Planet of Giants probably isn't the story you're looking for. but it's still a story you should watch. The larger budget of modern episodes of Doctor Who means there is often a lot more action happening on screen, and as such, it does make the action of the classic series look very dated. But the writing in this particular story and its ideas that leave the audience with things to think about in many ways not just rival but overtake modern Doctor Who. This leaves the story with not just a lasting impression but also the feeling that perhaps modern Doctor Who could learn a thing or two from it. And that brings to a close another Review Who. As always, I hope you enjoyed this video. Like, favourite, subscribe, share, it really helps me a lot, and be sure to check out the description below for a link to my Patreon. There is an exclusive webcomic and rewards for those who support it, and the funding generated by my Patreon helps me fund future videos. I salute you all, and I will see you with another video very soon.